So, what matters the most? We've got this question from the audience itself. That what matters the most? Statement of purpose, academic goals, or TOEFL IELTS? What can one do before an year of applying abroad? What to focus on, basically?
That's a great question. Honestly, trust me, that's the question I asked Muskan when I was applying for universities and I had no clue how to go about it. So one thing, statement of purpose is really important. It tells you what your storyline is. Academic grades, yes, they are important. Like, yeah, I would say they're important. Yeah, I don't want to give any kinds of other remarks, but yes, they are also important. And TOEFL or IELTS, TOEFL or IELTS, I would say, is really easy. It's like the normal speaking language or normal English that you speak on a daily basis. That depends on the country that you're going to. If you're coming to US, you need to go give TOEFL. If you're going to Canada, you need to give IELTS. So that's what it is. A year before, what you can do, like before applying, I would say focus on as many extracurriculars as you can. As many. If you're applying for a master's program, I by myself have done like so many internships. I've been associated with so many people. That helps you. One thing, get a great LOR. Um, great experience, and it actually shows in your resume that you've worked towards something really specific. And it would be great if you could like work it in do the internship, do the volunteership in a particular field that you are interested in. For example, I was interested in analytics, and I did all kinds of internships in the field of international business, strategic management, analytics, whatever I found. Don't think the whether it's paying or not, even if it's volunteership, I would say go for it. Try to be a if you're in college, try to be a part of like the camps. What do you call those? The clubs. Sorry, the clubs. Placement cell, dramatic society, whatever you've been into. I personally was a part of dramatic society, placement cell, dance society. I was a crazy person, but yeah, you can focus on all of that. Actually, one thing I would just like to add, which is not in this perspective, which is not related to this question, is that a lot of people have a myth that, or they have a misconception that they cannot apply to universities for their master's program or their MBA programs if they do not have experience. That is not true. I applied without any experience. I had zero experience. I completed my high school, then just after 12th, I went for my undergrads, 3 years undergrads. And just after that, I came here for my 1 year master's program. And look at me, I'm working at a great place. So it's not important for you to think whether you should be getting a work experience. Trust me, I was the youngest in my entire master's graduate class. But yes, that's how it is. That's how you make it. So yeah, that's it.
A lot of people might have the question what to do if your grades are not good, right? So, what to do about
Exactly.
that? Yeah, so what you can do is you can explain in your SOP that my grades, okay, are not great because of this or this reason. If I'm, let's say, going for a STEM course, science, tech, engineering, mathematics, and your grades are not good in a course that's not related to maths or anything else, you don't need to explain that at all. If you're, as long as your math grades are good. Suppose your math grades are not good, you can write in your SOP that I felt sick or whatever. I got disillusioned with my studies, but I came back on track. Just anything, just explain it. The second thing you can do is whoever is writing your LOR, you can ask them to uh, mention in the LOR that this person was great in class. They were always attentive, always answering questions. They were a pleasure to have in the class. That would give the graduate committee an idea that okay, this person doesn't have good grades, but is a good student. So that's what you can do if you don't have good academic grades.
It's not necessary to like go for TOEFL, GRE. Some universities also offer their courses without TOEFL. But does it in any case affect this particular thing that you have not appeared for TOEFL, but you have GRE and the university considers both? So does it matter to enter into that particular thing?
Yeah, so some universities might not ask for TOEFL or IELTS. So maybe you can take the exam while you're applying, but once you get the admission, when you get need your visa, you will need to submit your TOEFL or IELTS scores there. Let's say the UK Home Office accepts only IELTS. So if you're planning to go to the UK, then you need to give the IELTS because you need to prove to them the fact that you can survive there, you know enough English to be able to live there. You need to prove that to whoever's giving you the visa. So some universities might not ask for TOEFL or IELTS, but the Home Office definitely will.
So,
Yeah,
so
adding,
it is.
adding on. Sorry,
Add
go
one.
ahead.
Sorry, Falguni.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, I agree with Nidhi. So European countries or European, except UK, they will not have a mandatory regulation that you should apply for TOEFL or IELTS. But during visa, they will ask you. Like for my case, my supervisor didn't ask me any TOEFL or IELTS score. You can apply for either of them. But because university need you to apply for TOEFL or IELTS, you need to give the exam. And plus, in my experience, what happened to me, because of some reason, my TOEFL score was just 1 mark less than what university required. So I asked my supervisor that what he can do, or should I apply for TOEFL again. So he applied for concession for me again. Since if supervisor is agreed to take you at any cost, you can, the documentation, your TOEFL score, your SOP, everything can get through it. So the biggest task is to agree, or to make him agree with yourself.
Yeah, I would add to that yes, TOEFL is necessary or IELTS is necessary. You have to give it right now, or you have to give it at a later stage when you get admitted. Or they would make you give it because they need it. They need to know that you know English. That's important. So yes, it is necessary and it's not tough. It's not tough if you regularly speak English, if you know how to read stuff, if you can listen to it and translate it. No, not a tough situation. GRE vocabulary is tough, yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll jump in. Just one thing to say right now is, so suppose you've given the GRE, you've just done verbal GRE. So the verbal GRE section is a lot more difficult than TOEFL. So it'll be good for you to give the TOEFL right after you've given the GRE because you've just done verbal and not delayed for later on because you have studied from the beginning again. You're already at that level, so just give it then and there. So that's the advice.
Yeah, I second that.
There's this myth in people's mind that studying abroad is expensive. So, how can one study abroad if he or she is not from a background which is like ready to invest such a handsome amount of money that can be spent on education? Like, is there any other option apart from students' loan that can be availed by us, the students, so that the family is not necessarily burdened upon?
So it's possible to study abroad with the fully funded fellowship. The only thing you need to, plan your thing. And as Falguni also stated, that you need to network yourself. You need to talk to people as much as you can, because when you listen to people, you have information with yourself. So when I was talking to my professor, I was on the regular basis on talking terms with my professor, so they knew that I have to go, I will go at any cost. But the condition I have also given to myself, that I will go abroad only if I get the fully funded PhD. So what happened, you have many people have open positions also, open PhD position, that they are just internal to each other. Like the supervisor from US or UK are telling someone in the India that I need some students, so can you suggest me a student, and they will also fund you. So this is also the case you can do. Plus yes, it is possible to have 100% fellowship. I told you I haven't paid a penny to come to UK. Not even I have paid for my TOEFL exam. They have claimed everything for me. So it's just that you have to do so much hard work to find those kind of fellowships, so that you can you should not have to pay so much money. I know the education abroad is expensive, but you still can have your education with some kind of fellowship, and that is why I'm just focusing on to consider fellowship. You will get fellowship to study, not even for PhD, for masters as well as for your jobs, etc. And in sometime it is difficult for undergraduate, but there's some still fellowship available for undergraduate as well, just basis on your academic score and your extracurricular activities. And this applies for masters and PhD also. For like for me also, I have done so many internships in IIT, JNU, AIMS as well. So this makes your CV enhance. That is why people will prefer you. If you get invitation from the country, like for me, I got invitation from this country, so my documentation was very easy to do. My finance, I did not have to show any financial thing for me because I was fully funded. And plus they will also honor you a lot, and people will help you because you are international student, obviously. So sure, it will be possible to study in fully funded fellowship.
With this, we end up our Q&A session.
And I know that a lot of you watching us today have a lot of questions regarding what to do and what not to do. And I also acknowledge the fact that 1 hour can never be enough for you to be completely sure about the decisions you need to make. Because let's face it, when you make a decision for studying abroad, you're making a decision for your future, for your career, and it's not a small one. So we at Hello Study Global are a one-stop destination for all of your study abroad needs. We provide an entire gamut of services, from writing the exams, shortlisting the colleges and courses, writing SOPs, writing LORs, visa counseling, networking in the foreign country. Our basic aim is to make your journey smoother. We at Hello Study Global believe that every student is different and every dream is important. We wish to make your dream of studying abroad come true. Our promise is to give you individual attention and the time and assistance you deserve. For more information, you can get in touch with us through Instagram, Facebook, and our LinkedIn pages, or visit us in our official website, that is hellostudy.org.